Hey everybody, welcome back into the WSAZ Now studio. This is another edition of WSAZ Sports Plus. My name's Joseph Payton. I'm here by myself today. No Jimmy Tracy. That's okay. We've got football to talk about. We can handle that. And we've got just 7 teams remaining in football in all 3 of our states right now. We're talking about just one in the state of Ohio. That's the Wheelersburg Pirates. They're in a state semifinal on Friday night up at Westerville Central High School. We will talk about that game. We also have 3 teams in Kentucky still remaining. 2 of them play each other. That's Pikeville and Raceland. Going to be a huge state semifinal in single A. And, of course, in 2A, you've got the Belfry Pirates still alive as well. In the state of West Virginia, just 3 teams remaining. 2 of them play each other on Saturday. That's Nitro and Chapmanville Regional. And, of course, the Spring Valley Timberwolves as well. The winners go to the AAA state championship game. So we're going to talk about all of these teams, what they did last week, and preview those matchups that are happening either Friday or Saturday, depending on who you are. So we will start in the Commonwealth, the state of Kentucky, with the Belfry Pirates. They are headed to the state semifinal after beating Breathitt County 41-14. That was a game that really belonged to the Belfry rushing attack. You know that Belfry can beat you in a number of different ways, but it was the rushing game that really was the dagger in this one. 373 yards as a team. That's what they ran for on the ground against Breathitt County. Dante Davis was awesome. 166 yards on the ground for him. J.B. Woolham doing what he typically does. He ran for 129 yards, had 4 touchdowns, even picked off a pass, so his presence was felt all over the field. And all of that leading to a 41-14 win over Breathitt County, sending Belfry back to the state semifinal. They were in the state semifinal last year. Got beat by Union County. That, of course, was in Class 3A. The Pirates playing down in 2A this year, so a little bit different territory. They will see Lexington Christian at Lexington Christian on Friday night at 7:30 p.m. This is going to be awesome. Belfry is 12-1. You know that their lone loss is to Johnson Central. Everybody else they've taken care of with hardly any issues at all. Lexington Christian is 10-3. I can tell you that these teams are somewhat familiar with each other. I guess the programs are. They played each other not many years ago. Cutter Boley was the quarterback for Lexington Christian last time they played Belfry. Of course, Boley slinging it around for the UK Wildcats these days. The winner of this thing, of course, heads to the 2A state title game next weekend at Kroger Field. And on the other side of the bracket, it's Owensboro Catholic and Beechwood. So once again, Belfry, Lexington Christian, that's Friday at 7:30 p.m. in Lexington. Winner heads to the state title game to play either Owensboro Catholic or Beechwood. All right, now let's move on to single A. We'll start with the Raceland Rams. They beat Paris 27-5. It's their second win over the Greyhounds in 2025. Man, what a big game for Shannon Marucci. Have yourself a day, dude. 168 rushing yards for him, 55 receiving yards as well. It's always amazing when you have a running back that you can trust catching passes downfield too, whether that's the high school level, college level, at the pros. Dudes are absolute weapons out of the backfield when you can throw them the ball and can trust them to catch the thing. So big game for Shannon Marucci. Landon Stiltner doing what he's done all year long. He had 100 yards exactly. So hitting the century mark once again is Landon Stiltner. This is a stat that I'm sure that the Raceland Rams don't like to see in the stat column, but just to give you some context of how good this offensive line has been, their first sack of the season, you're talking about a week before Thanksgiving here, came in that Friday night game against Paris. Their first sack of the season. So they're keeping Jake Waller clean back there. They're going to want to continue to do that as they head to the state semifinal against Pikeville this Friday. They'll get the Panthers at home. But before we get to that, let's talk about the Pikeville Panthers. They beat Middlesboro 42-14 at home last week. Oh, my goodness gracious. Jaden Justice went completely bonkers. He was out of his mind. 220 rushing yards, 5 touchdowns. He also had an interception. That, of course, sets us up for this enormous single-A state semifinal game between 2 programs that are super familiar with each other. We know exactly what this is all about. Pikeville, 10-3 at Raceland, 11-1. That's Friday at 7:30 p.m. That one loss for Raceland, as many of you know if you follow Kentucky high school football, was at the hands of the Pikeville Panthers. That was a crazy comeback win that Pikeville won 35-27 way back on September 5th. The Rams led by multiple scores late in this game, and Pikeville just would not go away. One of the craziest comebacks ever, certainly of the season. You know the Rams have been thinking about that, and you know that the Panthers are thinking about that too, saying, hey, if we would have just done that for all 4 quarters, maybe this thing wouldn't have even been close. So 2 historically relevant programs, powerhouses in single A in the Commonwealth. Check this out. This is the 9th time that these 2 have met in the playoffs alone since 2011. There have been some years in there where they've been playing each other in the regular season, then would later see each other in the playoffs. So, my goodness, this is one that you kind of felt like if either one of them wanted to win a state championship this year, they would have to go through the other to get there. There was no ifs, ands, or buts about it. So here we go, the rematch. Pikeville and Raceland. That's in Raceland. Friday at 7:30 p.m. I imagine we'll have somebody there, and we'll have highlights on WSAZ as well. You can bet on that. Let's go to the state of Ohio now. We're talking about the one team that remains, and that is the Wheelersburg Pirates. They are 13-0 after beating Nelsonville York in the regional final. Final score was 41-0. Total dominance for the Wheelersburg Pirates, bringing home the regional championship trophy for the first time since 2018. Really got it done on the ground in that game. Elijah Brown was awesome, 150-plus rushing yards for him, 3 touchdowns. He even had an interception on the defensive end when Ison Emnett got in there and popped the ball up in the air. Brown came down with it. Just really opportunistic. Pirates always capitalizing off turnovers whenever you make mistakes against them. Braylon Rucker and Brady Music, they also had rushing touchdowns as well. Of course, Cooper Heimbach. I feel like you can't talk about the Wheelersburg Pirates without bringing up Heimbach at least once. He was 2 for 2 from field goal range. He hit one from 50 yards, and he made me look like a genius because what did I say on last week's episode? I told Jimmy, I said, Jimmy, it's big for you at the end of the first half when all you have to do is just get across midfield and let that dude swing it. So what did they do? Get across midfield right before the end of the first half, and he put that through with, a little more than 40 seconds to go. 50-yard bomb for him. He also hit from 41 yards. Coach Tilley looked at me after the 50-yard bomb and said, kick of the week. That's 4 times. Appreciate you watching. We love that. Yeah, if this was a full-fledged football Friday night on Friday, it probably would have been kick of the week. And people have probably been shaking their heads like, man, can we see somebody other than Cooper Heimbach? Well, kid's legit. It just is what it is. As for that game, Wheelersburg went right down the field on their first possession, punched it in, and you thought, uh-oh, if that's what it's going to look like for the rest of the game, the Buckeyes might be in for a long one. But then Nelsonville kind of sustained a drive there. Their best scoring chance was in that first drive. They converted on a 4th down, had another 4th down where they got Wheelersburg to jump off and ended up getting a first down on that one, had a big hitter that got them down inside the 10, and I believe there was a penalty that pushed them back a little bit, so they kind of had 2nd and 3rd and 4th and goal from long range, and that drive ended up stalling out, and that was really their best scoring chance until the very end of the game. The Wheelersburg defense is just suffocating. That's what they do. They're awesome. They get after the quarterback. They don't let you run the ball very well on them. Like I told you last week, that's the hallmark of this program. They're going to need to bring it this Friday as they travel up to Westerville Central High School for a state semifinal game against Cardinal Mooney. Cardinal Mooney's 10-2. They just beat an undefeated Girard team last week for a regional championship there. I can remember as a kid always hearing about Cardinal Mooney. That feels to me like a sleeping giant that may have just been awoken. It's their first regional title since 2013. They've won 18 total as a program. They've won 8 state championships, most recently in 2011. But like I said, when I was a kid, Cardinal Mooney was always winning state championships. 04, 06, 09, 11. It was like every other year. And now it looks like Cardinal Mooney might be back. Here they are in the state semifinal. They're going to have to go through Wheelersburg to try and get themselves back to Canton. The winner will play either Liberty Center or Indian Lake. A lot of people throughout the state of Ohio feel like Division V is Liberty Center's to lose. They've been in the state championship game each of the last 2 seasons. Of course, fell to Ironton last year, and they probably have a bad taste in their mouth, so we'll see who comes out of that side of the bracket. We're, of course, worried about this Wheelersburg Cardinal Mooney game. Was checking out some highlights from some of the other affiliates around the state of Ohio that were at that Mooney game. It looks like they have a kicker like Heimbach who can put it through. Looked like he had a pretty strong leg. Vince Gentile, their junior quarterback, looks like he can sling it. Brady Desmond, a junior running back they have in the backfield, looks like he's the real deal. So this is going to be a tough test. Again, this Mooney team just beat an undefeated Girard team, and it wasn't close, 48-14. So Wheelersburg's going to have to bring it. Can they get themselves back to Canton for the first time since Coach Woodward and the boys brought it home back in 2017. Trent Salyers and Tanner Holden and Bryson Keeney and all those guys that brought it home live forever in Wheelersburg lore. I know that those kids grew up watching that team, and they're 2 wins away from joining them. We'll see if they can get it done. That's Friday at 7 o'clock. I will be at that game, Wheelersburg versus Cardinal Mooney in the state semifinal. Okay, let's go to the state of West Virginia. All of these teams that are remaining are in Class AAA. We'll start with the Spring Valley Timberwolves. They beat Robert C. Byrd 28-0 in the quarterfinals. That was here at home at the Wolves' Den on Saturday night. Zeke Lewis was awesome, 136 yards on the ground, 3 touchdowns. Blaine Workman had him a nice game, 59 yards on 6 carries. That's almost 10 yards a pop. You'll take that. Miguel Kane, 57 yards on the ground. And how about the Timberwolf defense? We're talking 2 playoff games now. You've only given up 10 combined points. You keep doing that, you're going to take yourself pretty far. But they'll have their hands full as they get Princeton this Saturday, and they got to go to Princeton. So that's quite the trip. It's a Saturday at 7 p.m. game. The Tigers just beat Hoover, and Hoover gave them a ball game, 41-35. Princeton beat Hoover last week. The winner, of course, will play in the AAA state championship game, and they will get Nitro or Chapmanville Regional. So that'll take us to the next 2 teams we want to talk about. We will start with Nitro, who, of course, I just ruined the spoiler. They are in the semifinal after beating North Marion 57-38. This Nitro team is awesome. They are fantastic. They've got playmakers that can do it all. Ian Duffy was 13 of 21 against North Marion, 293 yards through the air, 5 touchdowns. Malachi Thompson went crazy. If the stats I saw on Max Preps are correct, 5 touchdowns, 6 catches, 267 yards. That's why he is who he is, folks. Malachi Thompson is awesome. Chris Radcliffe, too, ran for 126 yards on 13 carries. Again, this is a tough Nitro team, getting themselves to a first state semifinal since, I believe, 2005. Nitro in the state semifinal for the first time since 2005, so it's some rare territory for them. I'm sure they're excited to be there, and they get a Chapmanville regional team who is coming off just an absolutely miraculous, some might say, upset victory over Bridgeport. So let's talk about it. The Chapmanville Regional Tigers went up to Bridgeport and beat the Indians 33-27, ending a 25-game win streak. That's the defending state champs. It was a game that I don't think many people around the state gave Chapmanville Regional much of a chance to really even hang with them, let alone win the football game. Maybe we were underselling Chapmanville Regional. We knew that they were a good football team. Heck, you go undefeated, you have to be a good football team. I've seen them play. We went to Fired Up Friday there. I've seen how big those dudes are. But I don't think anyone really gave them much of a chance. And it just goes to show you that sometimes you don't know what you don't know. And that's why you play the football game on the field. Tigers were down 8 at halftime, came out of the locker room to start the second half and scored 20 unanswered points. Dakota Dalton, he's just a sophomore quarterback, unbelievable, 247 yards, 2 touchdowns. Preston Kovac had a big blocked field goal right before the end of the first half that turned out to be enormous in this game. You talk about a group of kids and a game that is going to be talked about around the state of West Virginia, and certainly in that county, in Logan County, in Chapmanville forever. These kids are immortalized. Unbelievable. And they're not done yet, folks. That's a quarterfinal win. So now the challenge becomes Coach Belcher, after an emotional win, rallying the troops back in the locker room. And I know he's having these conversations saying, boys, we haven't done anything yet. That's a big win, but that was just one rung on the ladder that we're trying to climb. So now you get Nitro. The Tigers are 12-0. It's a program record, I believe, 12 wins in a season. And here it is, AAA semifinal, Saturday in Nitro. The Tigers and the Wildcats. Again, I mentioned, first semifinal appearance for Nitro since 2005. It's going to be unbelievable. Andrew Colgrove will be there to shoot highlights for you. And the winner plays either Spring Valley or Princeton. Wouldn't it be something if we had Spring Valley versus either Nitro or Chapmanville Regional in the state championship game in Charleston? That would be awesome. So, of course, plenty to look forward to in the world of high school football, both Friday and Saturday. We're going to have camera crews at most of these games, if not all of them. And we'll see who ends up punching their ticket to Charleston, Lexington, or Canton. Hopefully all 3. but we will see. That is up to those teams and how they perform on the field. I want to remind you that we have our Wednesday night stream, of course, tomorrow at 9 o'clock, where Keith Morehouse and I will be talking about college football. Plenty of big games to discuss. There's one happening in Ann Arbor, Michigan that I know that we discuss on that episode, so you're going to want to tune in for that. And remember, we have this QR code now, so we'll bring it up on the screen. If you take your phone out, pull out the camera app, put it up there close to the screen, and scan that QR code. That's going to take you to WSAZ.com, where this episode and all episodes of WSAZ Sports Plus live. That's big. Trying to make it easier for you to find us, right? Remember, we're also on Spotify and Apple Podcasts if you want to listen to us. We're on YouTube as well. We're all over the place. And as we wind down high school football season, we're going to keep doing this. We're going to keep talking about high school sports, whether that's basketball, any other winter sports that are happening. And I think we're going to start bringing guests on. But, yeah, this is a huge part of the year. Everyone's going after a trophy of some sort, and we're here to just have a good time talking about it. So, appreciate you joining us on this episode. We will see you, of course, tomorrow night for the college football stream, and again, next Tuesday, where we'll be previewing some state championship matchups. For now, I'm Joseph Payton. This has been WSAZ Sports Plus. We'll see you next time.